of when two people face each other in the United Nations Forum, they cannot see each other as human beings. Because one person is representing the political ideology of the ruling party of his country, and another the ruling party of the other country. And if they are at loggerheads, these people, they have to suppress their human voice and speak only in partisan spirit. And it is at that time the humanity in them will waver. And thus Karna is presented here. If you read Mahabharata, and whenever you come to a description of the life of Karna, you cannot restrain your tears. Tears will flow down your cheeks to see the great conflict of this man who was a whole person. But he was not allowed to live as a whole person. And therefore we see this wavering. Karnena Verakula Ashwadhama Vikarna Khora Makara. Then we are given the names of two other people. Ashwadhama was an immortal, like a god. And he had great penance to his credit. And on his head was what we call the Chudamani, the crust jewel of all value. And that person was here hiding the wrong thing. You can always see in politics also, one government is aiding another government when that government itself is on the wrong side. But otherwise, that the ideology of the government is something great and beautiful. And you do not expect them to do this, but they do it. And then say, you are like a shark. And Vikarna, who was a brother of Duryodhana, when Draupadi, the wife of the Pandavas, were brought to the assembly hall, and they were going to molest her before so many people. Vikarna, the brother of Duryodhana, he stepped forward and he stoutly opposed it, irrespective of the fact that he was going against the wishes of his brothers. He wanted to be just. Thus he was a righteous person. But such a righteous person also in the present case we find he is on the wrong side. And this happens always to us in our life situation. Those whom you count, those whom you expect to be always righteous, suddenly you find that they have gone off the tangent. You do not know what to do with them. And when there were all this kind of people there, a central person is given. There is not this person. There is here a whirlpool. When once you are caught in the whirlpool, you cannot get out of it. And many times this happens to us. We find ourselves caught in a whirlpool. And she is called Duryodhana. So in the next verse we are seeing a person called Duryodhana who is like a whirlpool. And in that whirlpool you go round and round. Duryodhana means difficult to fight with. When from a quagmire you are trying to pull yourself out, you are going more and more deep into it. And this is such a person. Sotirna Khadu Pandavai Ranamadi Kaivar Keshava. It is in that kind of a river you are seeking to get to the other shore of life. Who can take you except the Lord? So the Lord is given here as a ferryman, and He is guiding you across to the other side. Kaivartaha is called a ferryman. We have a temple of the Sikhs in India called Taran. Taran means ones who have already crossed over. Taran means And those who have crossed over are enabling others also to cross over. The Sikh religion has 10 gurus, 10 teachers, and they are considered as people who have crossed over such kind of a river. And after crossing to the other side, they take the hand of others and make them also cross. And therefore their temple is named as Taran Taran. Tar means to cross. And here Krishna is such a guru, such a teacher, who is helping you to cross over. And with this kind of a background in our mind, we should now approach the person here described as Drona, the teacher. So when you want fight, you can turn to two sources. One is the external teacher, because it is in this external world you are finding your various lessons, all the lessons that you have learned. And one lesson that you learn that keeps you in good stead when you come to the next situation. So here, Duryodhana, when he had to fight, he turns to his teacher, which is the worldly teacher, where there is practical, pragmatic, empirical world wisdom. But you are not putting yourself in the charge of that external world. You have to be yourself there. And therefore this person, the patriarch, is put here in charge of the army. He is the commander. But the commander is taking his counseling from the external world. And for us, we have our own grassroots, which is telling us, which is permitting us to perform. But we counsel that with all the external information or wisdom that you get. This is how we perform. And here, this verse says, दृष्ट्वा तु पाण्डवानीकं व्यूढं दुर्योधनस्तदा आचार्यमुपसंगम्य राजा वचनमब्रवीत्. So this king, who was on the Kaurava side, the chief, when he saw how the army was arrayed by the Pandavas, he went to his Guru Drona and said this word. What did he say? Pachaidam Panduputranam Acharya Mahadihim Chamum Vyudham Drupadaputrena Tava Shishyena Dhimada. He's asking his guru, teacher, to look at the enemy army marshaled by the son of Drupada. And then he describes what kind of a person was that son of Drupada, that he was the best among charioteers, very intelligent, and how the teacher was to be very careful in dealing with him. So this person, Duryodhana, has another name. He is called Sudhana. That means one who knows how to wage his war. During the Second World War, we had a person like that in Winston Churchill, a man who knows what he was doing, how to fight, very thoroughgoingly pragmatic. And such a person was Suyoಧನ. So he told his teacher, do you see this army marshaled? And it is perfectly marshaled. So you should not slight the ability of our enemy. This is the worldly view. In our worldly view, when we fight with another, we first try to understand our enemy, and then we try to understand ourselves. This is very different from another person who is going to be the central figure of this book, Arjuna. Arjuna never wanted to see his enemies as different from his people. He saw the war situation and he wanted to know what will happen to the people who came to this battlefield. And that is different from Duryodhana, who only wanted to know what will happen to him and his people and how they can win. So it is up to us to have these two views in life. Either you can have a very pragmatic view, very selfish view of making your homestead happy, even at the risk, even at the cost of other people's happiness. The other is that you become altruistic. You think of the whole world. And one person is called a bhogi, and the other person is called a yogi. Yogi is one whose heart is throbbing in unison with every person in this world. And bhogi is one who is only concerned of his pleasure, how he can enjoy. And the first one is called the way of the pleasures. The other is called the way that is good. So we are always at crossroads. You can think of a crossroad there. We are always at a crossroad. And in the crossroad, we have to choose either a path which is pointing towards the pleasurable, or a path which is pointing towards the good. There is an Upanishad called Kathopanishad. In the Kathopanishad, the Supreme Teacher is appreciating his disciple, because the disciple was given a chance to opt for everything lovable, pleasurable, but he wouldn't have wisdom. He can have long life, he can have many beautiful people around him, he can have power over the world, riches, but no wisdom. But then the disciple said, you keep all this for yourself. I don't want. What I need is that which brings peace. Peace for all time, joy for all time, and not just pleasure. That is opting for the good. So opting for, these are the two paths we took. And here Duryodhana is representing the first, the bhogi. And he turns to his guru and says, the man on the other side who is the marshal of the day is Drupada's son. What does it mean? Drupada was a king who was a veteran enemy of Drona. And Drona's main motive in becoming a teacher of the Kauravas and the Pandavas was to fight and kill Drupada. He wanted to train a band of warriors who were so skilled that at his command they would go and kill Drupada. That was the purpose. But that very Drupada's son happened to be a disciple of the same Drona. See how we see the world going in a certain way and we do not know how a wrong can be corrected, because we don't see any possibility of the wrong corrected. And then on the next day in the paper we read something very unexpected happened and the wrong was automatically corrected. It is as if God has an eye on us. We do not see that there is an overvision, one who is overlooking. And when someone is transgressing too much, from below there comes a big blast, a smash, a dust, something unthought of. And then that wrong is corrected. Again people go into the wrong. But again there comes the correction. And similarly, this person, Drupada, he sent his own son to Drona, and Drona's intention was to kill Drupada. But Drupada's son became a disciple of Drona. Unwittingly, great missiles, all the formulas, all the great mantras, and now he is standing on the opposite side. So Duryodhana is asking, how can you fight with that man when he knows all your secrets? See, now we are developing so many new kinds of missiles, air to air, all kinds of things. But in ancient days, there were even superior missiles. If one man is sending a missile called the snake missile, Nagastra, the other person could send a missile called the eagle missile, which can swallow up the snake missile. And if one sends a missile of fire, the other sends a missile of water to extinguish that. So this son of Drupada now knows how to use a weapon against anything that you use. How can you fight? He is not an ordinary chap, he is very intelligent. So you see, even practical people who have world wisdom, they exercise their mind very accurately and acutely to meet with the requirements of life. Even pleasure seeking is not easy. You have to exert yourself very much. And such is that word of Duryodhana. Now, after presenting this case, he goes ahead and he first says who are all the people, terrible people on that side. Atra shura maheshwasa bhimarjuna samayudhi yudhano viradascha drupadascha maharatha prushtage dunche gidanam kashirajascha viryavan purijit kundibhojascha shaibhyascha narabungava yudhamanyascha vikranda Uttamaujascha viryavan Saubhadro Draupadeyascha Sarvayeva Maharadhaha. Here he is showing and is showing on the battlefield how Duryodhana is pointing at the various warriors who are on the other side. And they are all named here. The most interesting thing to note is, on this side is King Duryodhana. So on the other side, naturally, there should be King Yudhishthira. But there is no reference to Yudhishthira. There is no reference to any of the five Pandavas. They only said there are people who are as strong as Bhima and Arjuna. They have never said that Bhima and Arjuna are here. Why? the Pandavas were omitted. At the very beginning of this briefing of the people on that side, that the author of this book has a sense of justice. He considers the Pandavas as people of righteousness, people who stand for dharma. And when ordinary people like Duryodhana and other people are assembled here, he wanted them to be met with people of the same caliber. And therefore he did not make any mention of the Pandavas. He brought other people like King of Kashi, Purijit, Chaitya, who are all like people on the Kaurava side also. Thus he had a sense of justice, a sense of harmony in pairing people and polarizing people. The higher things are kept away for the time being. And then we come to another secret. Then he says, Asmagam pravishishtaye tan nibodha dijottama nayaga mama sainyasya samjardham tan pravimite. Now for your sake, your secret understanding, I shall reveal to you certain ciphers. In war there are always ciphers to be decoded, deciphered. And I am keeping this as a secret. I am going to tell you now, because this war, it's a war which is to be fought on moral grounds. And if on moral values we are at stake, we cannot win this war. And see, who wanted to prove that there is good morale on his side, which other people doubt. And so he gives, that is his cipher. Every word, every name which he now mentioned is opening up a cipher or deciphering it. See. First he says, Bhagavad, that means, oh great teacher, you are with us. And what is his nature? He is known as Dijottama, the best among Brahmins. It is well known that a Brahmin always stands for righteousness. So the very fact that Dijottama, the best among Brahmins, is on our side, that means we cannot be immoral. If we are immoral, how can the Brahmin come on our side? You are Dijottama, best among Brahmins, and you are on our side. That means we have very good moral backing. These are the ciphers, and you decipher it. Second thing is, Bhishma, the head of our clan, is with us. And he is well known for his righteousness. If we were in the wrong, Bhishma Pitamaha, the patriarch, would not have supported us. So that is the second reason that we are right. Krupascha, Krupa is again another person of great righteousness. He is on our side. Samadim Jaya Ashwadhama Vikarnascha Somadathe Jayadraga. This also first Tadhaivacha. And these people, Ashwadhama is the son of this Brahmana. And Ashwadhama himself was well known as an immortal Chiranjeevi. And Vikarna was well known for his high ideas. All these people are with us. You have that one, which is just people will die for me. So I can draw. Hanye Bhavasuraha Madarte Tektajividaha Nana Shastra Praharanaha sarve yuddha visharadaha. Finally this king, Duryodhana, he says there are so many people here who are all willing to die for me. You see, if you go to Rome and look at the great Roman columns, everyone looks like a capital I. It's just like Julius Caesar standing upright and say I. So that sense of that great sense of ego. Everything is based on me and my pleasures, that the whole world crawl before. And similarly this man says, for my sake, all these people will die. So if what he said was true, that the best of Brahmin was supporting them, the patriarchy was supporting them, good people were supporting them, those turned out wash and outward show. The real in him came out at last. You can always look at a person when he comes with many trickeries. Wait, after some time the true person will come out, and that will let out the cat. So you cannot deceive everyone all the time. You can deceive some people for some time at some place, but if time is running out, he will soon come to a place where his true color will come. Here Duryodhana finally says how he goes to achieve, and the whole war is only for his sake. Mother thought, all other people are dying here only for my sake. And when we have that kind of an attitude, then beware, God cannot broke you for long. God gives you a long rope, a very long rope. But when finally you think that you are the ultimate power and there is nothing else, there comes the big stick on your head. So after giving all these secrets, ciphering and deciphering, then he comes again to the war situation. And here is the pain of this man. Duryodhana also has a Vishada. Yesterday I spoke of Vishada. Vishada means conflict, sadness, pain. But the word used is Vishada. That is a person who is fed with poison. Visha means poison. Ad means to eat. It is as if you have eaten poison. What kind of poison? That which takes away the peace from you. That which takes away your sense of your ability to cope with the situation. So you cope out. You are fearing that you may cope out. That is the Vishada. So he says, Aparyaptam tadasmagam balam bhishma phirakshidam Paryaptam tidame desham balam bhishma phirakshidam. And it's very, the structure of this verse is very beautiful. Aparyaptam tadasmagam. He says, that army of ours, that army of ours is inadequate, even though it is protected by Bhishma. And this army of theirs is adequate, even though it is protected only by Bhishma. How can he feel that his own army was that and not this? He should say, this army of mine. Instead of he say, that army of mine. That means in his mind there was already an alienation. He feels that his resources have gone far from him because God's grace is not with him. And he sees the army of theirs, this army of theirs, as if it is an imminent danger right there at his footsteps, at his door. And the nearness of that danger is so close that he shudders at that. So he says, this army of theirs. And these two people, Bhishma and Bhima, Bhishma, the patriarch who is on the side of Duryodhana, was considered as a very seasoned warrior. And whomever he fights, he will get half the strength of the other person. And so no one can defeat him. So he should feel there is paryaptada, there is adequateness when the army is marshaled by the patriarch. But he does not feel that way. Bhima was only a wrestler. Just like asking Muhammad Ali to go and wage a big war against another country. If it is boxing, he will do. Similarly, Bhima is only a boxer. He can only wrestle. And he had never led an army in his life. It's the first time. And that, because of the moral stand of Bhima, is his adequacy there. And this makes him sad. So he is sad for his own sake. And that sadness is the sadness of most people. When people hear, they shed tears and tears and tears. What is that for? Sri Ramakrishna always said, you weep a bucket full of tears for the sake of money, for the sake of promotion, for the sake of another lift, for the sake of winning something. But do you shed even one teardrop for sustaining truth, for seeing God? So if you shed at least 1/4 of the tears that you shed for worldly things, you don't have spiritual realization. But here, it's a case of a person who is having a terrible sadness, a great grief, which is striking his heart because he is going to fail. This we had to contrast with the next person whom they are bringing here, that is Arjuna. So as he was saying this terrible thing, he turned to the commander-in-chief. He was so far speaking of Drona, now he is speaking of Bhishma. He said, let everybody on all sides stand and protect Bhishma, our grandfather, who is also the chief of our army. Ayaneshu jasarveshu yadha bhagamavasthidaha Bhishmameva pirakshandu bhavandah sarvayevahi. In this war field, from every approach, let all of you, by standing in your own position, firmly protect Bhishma. See, it is well known that when a war is going on, it is the duty of the commander-in-chief to protect the ranks. But here, you are respecting the ranks to protect the commander-in-chief. And that means you do not have a real trust. You think you don't have the real moral caliber. And in the present case, Duryodhana always doubted the loyalty of his grandfather and also his own teacher. He knew that both of them loved Arjuna and his brothers because they were righteous. So these people were basically righteous, only situationally they were caught in it. So convention, when a king asks, Whatever is your opinion, you should obey. And thus to establish a democratic system, here they were going to fight, but actually their hearts were with the right people, righteous people. So he knew that they would only support Arjuna and his brother. That is why he made this special plea. Please protect this man. And he is the only person who gives some value to our fight. And here, Vyasa, who is a master craftsman in writing, he knew exactly where to put a word that can be so pivotal. Suppose there are two countries at warfare. Then the entire world wants to know who fired the first shot. And if we say they fired and we were on defense, then the person who fired becomes the aggressor. Actually, in this war situation, Duryodhana and his people already had the country. They possessed everything. There was no need for them to wage a war and take anything. They had already to defend. So the war was to be fought by the Pandavas. And therefore, if they come and shoot, or they declare the war, they become aggressive. Vyasa wanted to avert that situation by making this old man a little too frantic, too emotional, so that he may forget that he should wait for others to give the war call. So he made the war cry, not knowing that it was not for him to do that. And thus, the Duryodhana's party was made the aggressor by Vyasa making Bhishma give the war cry. Tasya sanjanayan harsham kuruvruddha pidamaha simhanadam vinidyochai shankham datmau pradavavan. To make his grandson happy, this ancient patriarch, he roared loudly like a lion, and then he blew his conch. Thereby he declared the war. And when that challenge was given, Tada Shankhacha Bherisya Panavanago Mukha Sahasaivaphyahanyanda Sashabda Sumalo Apavat. Then there was war cries and the sounds of various drums and kettle drums and horns. Everything bled forth and it made a big sound. Oh, Mahe Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Continuing chapter 1, Vishada Yoga. तद्शङ्खाच्छपेयच्छ प्रणवनकगोमुखः सहसैवाभ्यहन्यन्द स्वशब्दस्तुमुलो अभवत्. Thereafter, conches, drums and kettle drums and horns, all this was sounded, which made a great clang of confusion. In this picture, you can see those on the battlefield who are on the side of Duryodhana. They all sounded their various horns and conches, etc., all at once, and it created a very confusing clang. And that shows that there was no order on the side of that army. When we do not have a stable moral ground, there is so much of hidden fear in us, and because of the fear, it is difficult for us to approach the subject systematically, step by step. Then we become confused and we make a big rush, and that rush is representative of our mind. By seeing our external behavior, one can decide what is the state of the inside mind also. That is why this picture is represented as something very chaotic. And now we see something very different from what we have seen on the Kaurava side when there comes Krishna and Arjuna to the battlefield. तद्श्वेतैर्हयैर्युक्ते महदिश्चन्दने स्थितो माधवः पाण्डवश्चैव दिव्यो शङ्खो प्रदध्मद. Thereafter, in a chariot to which were yoked white horses, there came Sri Krishna and Arjuna, and they blow their divine conches. Now this chariot and the horses, the placement of the charioteer and the person who is riding in the chariot, this is a great symbol. It occurs many times in the Upanishads. There are also various other old scriptures which refer to the chariot. In the Old Testament we have the chariot appearing, and there also it has 4 figures specially given of Ezekiel, and in this particular chariot the horses are white. What does it mean? There is an Upanishad called Chandogya Upanishad. It speaks of Devas and Asuras, the shining ones and the demons, getting into a fight with each other. In all of us, there are these shining ones and also these demons. The shining ones are called the Devas, and they are really such beings. It is a metaphorical way of putting it. We have our senses, To have an eye is like a light within us. To have an ear is like a light within us. And wherever we can turn the eye and focus on an object, then that object is visualized. It is as if that object itself has changed into light. So we perceive only light, and so to see an object means the objectivization is nothing but transforming your form into light. And the eye is a shining one, and it is called a deva. But the same eye can become a dark force. When you are looking at a thing with the intention of bringing destruction, your purpose is dark. So although your mind is still using light, it is like using a dark light. And such kind of darkness is called a demon. It says in the Upanishad that the Devas wanted to have a victorious life. So they thought they would meditate on the light of their eyes. Then the demons decided to obstruct it. So they entered into the eye. And before that, people saw only auspicious things. But when the demons are once defiled, they started seeing things good and bad. Similarly, the ear was assailed, and we started hearing good and bad. And the nose was defiled, so we started smelling good and foul smell. Thus, all the five senses have a dark aspect and a light aspect. The light aspect is called a deva. And when you say that your chariot is yoked to white horses, that means your purpose is right, your motivation is beneficial, and you are out to act not out of any caprice, but because of this inner light. And thus the chariot drawn by the horses are going toward an object. The chariot itself is your basic energy. You may call it libidinal energy, or you may call it the Indian way, the rati. Whatever the name you give to it, that's the whole energy in you. And you might have seen the dancing Shiva. That's an image of the dancing Shiva. In that, the Shiva is standing on the Shiva is standing on a small dwarf. And on the head of the Shiva is a crescent moon. So this the dwarf is representing the alpha point, the crescent the omega. From the alpha to the omega, there is a rise of your energy, and this dwarf is called apasmara, which means hysteria. In all of us there is a hysteric energy. No one is free of that. But it becomes pathological only when we cannot sublimate it. When once you sublimate it, it becomes more and more refined, and that becomes your creative energy. And when it is absolutely resolved, sublimated, then you produce the most beautiful poetry, the most beautiful art, the most institutional writing, etc. It's all one and the same energy. It's all question of how well you can sublimate it. And thus this chariot is representing the same energy which asks you to sublimate it, to take it to the right goal. Then we have in that two persons. Usually these two persons are to be seen as the intellect in the front of the chariot and the rein, the mind, and the person who is the boss as the self or the soul, the Atman. But in the present case, the Supreme Lord is taking the place of the intellect. In an ordinary person, his chariot is guided by only his intellect. But in the present case, the Lord has agreed to take the place of the intellect. So it is not just ordinary intellect, it is divine intellect which is helping the individuated self to ride in his chariot in pursuit of the object. And thus the whole symbol is so meaningful. Is this self the real self? And that is not the real self. It is only an image. When we read in the Bible, God created man in his own image. So he is an image. There's a difference between the original and the image. God as such and God's image. The individual self in us has only the status of an image. We call it in Sanskrit Chaya Purusha or Chaya Atman. Chaya means image or reflection. Purusha means the person who is an image. But in Plato's philosophy also he speaks of the archetype, and we are all shadows of the archetype. And similarly, this is not the archetypal person, but the image of the archetypal person. But the same person is in all the persons. The Supreme or the original is in all. That's the spark of the divine in all. So actually the divine should be behind him. But as a favor, his own intellect is here substituted by the divine. And that is a speciality in this particular way in the case of Arjuna. There is also a story in the Mahabharata which is to be remembered when we look at this. It was decided to have war between the two houses of the same family, the Kauravas and the Pandavas. And the Kauravas were to be headed by Duryodhana and the Pandava by Yudhishthira. But Yudhishthira's brother is Arjuna. Thus Duryodhana and Arjuna both wanted to go and seek the help of Krishna. First Duryodhana came and found Krishna on his bed. He was sleeping. And then he thought of not disturbing him. He pulled a chair towards the head and sat there. He was king, so he could not stand there. That is below his dignity. So he sat there. Then came Arjuna, and he also saw Krishna sleeping and Duryodhana waiting there. So he came and stood at the feet of the bed of Krishna. Krishna opened his eyes and looked straight into the eyes of Arjuna and asked him, Arjuna, why did you come? And this offended the king. So he shot up and he shouted, this is not justice. I came first and I was waiting here, but you are speaking to my cousin who is younger than me, and he came late. Krishna said, you might have come first, but as he stood at my feet, I saw his face first, and that is why I asked him first. But have no quarrel. Both of you came to seek my help. I'll help you. On one side I place all my army, my infantry, my cavalry, my elephants, my chariots, all my weapons. And on the other side I stand defenseless. I won't fight. I won't take any weapon. Now you can choose between these. Whoever gets the army and the weapons, they won't get me. Who gets me, they won't get the weapons and the army. Arjuna, Duryodhana said, if you won't fight and if you won't touch any weapon, I don't want you. I shall take all your army and your weapons. And Arjuna said, I want only you. Thus he preferred to have the divine grace with him, and the other, all the worldly powers with him. So that shows the difference between the two people who came to this battlefield. Panchajanyam Krishikesho Devadattam Dhananjaya Paundram Dasmo Mahashankham Bhimakarma Vrukodaraha. Here there are two conches. One is called Panchajanya, the other is called Devadatta. These are the two divine conches which are bracketed here. It's not customary that a charioteer also blowing his conch, but in the present case, the charioteer is God himself. It is so strange in one way and wonderful that God has consented here to be the servant of man. In the Bible, we read, on the last day, before the supper, Jesus Christ called all his disciples and washed their feet and kissed their feet and set an example. Jesus is the Son of Man, that's God himself, but he brought him so low as to wash the feet of man, especially his disciples, and then he said that he was setting an example. We have a similar thing here. Krishna, the Lord, agreeing to be the servant of his own creature, a man. And he was blowing a conch called Panchajanya. It is supposed to be a conch made out of the bones of a demon called Panchaja. That's one sense. The other sense is there are 4 Vedas, and the Mahabharata and through Gita we get a 5th one, which is a quintessence of all Vedas, the quintessence of all scriptures. And this is not meant for people who are belonging only to the 4 classes, but to any human being anywhere. Thus, it has a significance which is different from that of the Vedas. So that Panchajanya means that Devadatta is a gift from the divine. We already saw that the horses that were yoked to the chariot were representing the shining one, the divine, and thus it shows that their purpose was not anything societal or human, but divine. And immediately after that, the Supreme Commander, who is a terrible fellow called Bhima, he blows his big conch which is terrifying. Now a question could be asked, on the Pandava side, the king is Yudhishthira. Why he was not allowed to blow the conch first? And why should Arjuna blow at all? Arjuna was not the king. Arjuna was not the supreme commander. Arjuna was not the marshal of the day. Yesterday I told you that Vyasa was a master writer, a great architect of this wonderful work. He was so ingenious to make certain moves which had far-reaching effects. Arjuna, although he was a great warrior, even when he was not in a position of power, he is given priority here. Arjuna in his enthusiasm forgot that it was not for him to take the challenge. When the challenge was given by Bhishma or the Kaurava side, he should have waited, but his enthusiasm was such that he rushed to accept the challenge. That shows his personality style, somewhat Rajasic. Afterwards you will know what Rajas, Tamas, etc. And then the commander follows the lead of his own brother, his own younger brother. Bhima is the elder brother. And afterwards you will see the significance of this special move made by the other Vyasa. And only after this we hear the conch of the king. Ananda Vijayam Raja Kundi Putro Yudhishthira Nagula Sahadevacha Ughosha Mani Pushpagau. The king then blew his conch, Ananda Vijaya, eternal victory. Yudhishthira means one who stands firm, and naturally she will meet with eternal victory, called Ananta, unending victory. When you read the Mahabharata, you find that all the people who are on both sides of the Kauravas and the Pandavas, one after another, they all died in the big battle or after the battle. There was no one left except the 5 brothers and their wife and mother. And then when they were all walking towards their final destiny, and then first the mother fell down and died, then the wife fell down and died, then the younger brothers died, Arjuna died, Bhima died, only Yudhishthira survived. All others came to their doom. And when she was singled out, there came a divine chariot to take him to the heaven. And when she was about to step into that, there was a dog. The dog also wanted to enter. But the guardians of the heaven said, no, that's not possible. We will not allow a dog to enter the heaven. Then Yudhishthira said, you don't? Then I also don't want to enter. If my dog cannot enter the heaven, I don't want that heaven. Such was this person, steadfast in his resolve, whether it is heaven or hell. If my dog is following me and my dog cannot come, then I also don't want to go. Such was his resolve. And that Yudhishthira, although he blew his conch Ananta Vijaya, that was given only a 3rd position. First was Arjuna, then Bhima, and then Yudhishthira. Why? Because war is a pragmatic situation where you need more realism. The most realistic thing is to put the strong person first there, and you can have your ethics set aside a little. He is highly ethical, but he is given only a third position here. It's very suggestive. And afterwards, his brothers Nakula and Sahadeva, they blew the conches. Sukhosha, that which is of auspicious sound, and Manipushpada, the flower of perfection like a pearl. Those are aesthetic values, ethical values and then aesthetic values. So there is an arrangement of values ensuring the order of the blowing of the conches. Kasyaccha parameshwasa chikhandi jamaharadha drushtadjinno viradasya satyakicha parajitaha drupado draupadeyasya sarvasya prithivipade saubhadrasya mahabahu Shankhan Dathmuhu Prithak Prithak. So after the blowing of the conches by the five brothers, the various supporters on that side, they all started blowing one after another. Great archers like the king of Kashi, great charioteer like Shikhandi and Drishtadamna, Virada, and our victorious Kartiki and Drupada, sons of Drupada, Abhimanyu. What is peculiar on this side is when there was such a clang of noise which made everything so chaotic on the side of the Kauravas, here each sound was heard distinctly, one after another. So there is perfect order. In our approach to life, when you have a moral ground, when your resolve is right, and you have the right purpose, which is not self-centered, there is an inner calm, an inner leisure. You are not excited. So you can take a little time in presenting yourself in a tidy manner, which is different from having an emotional approach. Here you are cool and collected. Sukhoshotthatarashtralam hridayani vedariyat nafaccha prithivīñcaiva tumalo venunādayan. Designer of in this chariot, there is a banner flying, and on the banner is shown the image of a monkey. This monkey is none other than Hanuman, who stands for great devotion to the Lord. That is taken from the other epic, Ramayana. In the story of the Tipitaka, the golden monkey, which is more popularly known as the monkey, a Chinese classic, there we find monkey having the qualities of animal, and also man, and man who is tending to become divine. In his devotion to the Absolute, to the Supreme, there is no parallel. But in the external world, he behaves like any other creature. And Hanuman agreed to preside over the banner of Arjuna in the battlefield, so that he may be always reminded of the relationship between man and God, which is taken from the epic Ramayana. Rama represents God and Hanuman, the lover of God. Here Arjuna and Krishna are related the same way. And the entire success of Hanuman was because of his undivided loyalty, love for God. This is called Ekantika Bhakti, devotion which is one-pointed, no flagging at any time. In the modern world, we are living in a competitive world of so many rivalries. Even spiritual teachers seem to be in a world of competition and rivalry. But those who understand the true worth of having a path, a way, a master, they don't go by the externality. They do not know of the master other than the divine. The external person to whom you may prostrate, you may listen, he is like a window who is giving you a peep into the divine. And once you have received your real spiritual initiation, not something formal, how you have initiated yourself to look through that window into the divine. You make your gaze steady and you always move in the same direction. There may be so many other ways, but this is your way, you have found it, and so you stick on to it. And that is called Ekantika, one-pointed. Bhakti means devotion. And that is represented here by Hanuman, who is on that banner. Adhavavapidān drishtvā thātharāṣān kavitvajaha pravurte shastra sampāde anurudyamya pandavaha. When such a chariot was stationed there, and the missiles were about to come, then Arjuna said these words to Sri Krishna. What did he say? Senayor madhye radham sthapaya mechuda. He made a request. Arjuna made a request to Krishna to station the chariot in between the two armies. On both sides are the two fighting armies, and Arjuna and Krishna, they are to be stationed in between. How is it possible? That is called the no man's land. Nobody is supposed to bring a chariot to the no man's land. This Vyasa was a great writer, he should know it. And why did he violate such a rule and put it there? Here, he wants to give us a very subtle lesson. Suppose a person wants to become a Christian. He says, Jesus was a very, very great person. I love him very dearly. Does that make you a Christian? No. That makes you a lover of Christ, but not a Christian. If you want to be a Christian, then you should agree that Jesus was born of a virgin. Did she remain a virgin after that? You should believe yes. But you say no, that's not biologically possible. Then you don't become a Christian. This is one of the cardinal faiths. I do agree. Jesus was born of a virgin. And then you should agree that he came to receive the sin of people. And he did receive. And he had the power to excuse the sins of people, for which he paid with his own blood on the cross. And he was crucified. But you may also agree. But then you should say, you should believe that on the cross he died. If you say, no, he must have been in a coma. No, then you cannot be a Christian. You should believe he died on the cross. And then you should believe on the third day he resurrected from death. These are biological impossibilities. I cannot agree with it. Well, then you remain as a lover of Christ and not a Christian. To be a Christian, you have to believe. And then you should also believe that he bodily ascended, the ascension of Christ, and that he will come back. And when he left, he sent his Holy Spirit, Holy Ghost, to live with you and guide you. These are cardinal faiths. And if you don't accept it, but you say, these are not quite rational, that means to enter into the spirit of the Bible or Christian life, you need something more than ordinary reasoning, ordinary rationality. You want a higher reasoning. A reasoning, a rational that is based on faith, based on a higher intuitive understanding. Similarly, this is an impossibility. From here onward, to understand the Gita, we should also have something other than analytical reasoning. A reasoning which is based on faith. If you go to an Indian temple, as soon as you enter the temple, you can see there is a flag mast. The mast on which is the flag of or the banner of the temple flying. And that mast is standing on a tortoise, or is it called tortoise? So that's a turtle on which it stands. That symbolizes there has to be the faith, has to be faith in the bottom to support. And your devotion and your reasoning are all based on that faith. In this also there is a similar thing. Another meaning which he has derived from this is, when Duryodhana came to the battlefield, he straight away looked at his enemy. That looking at the enemy, it's a linear way of approaching life. But Arjuna, he wanted to be in the middle and see both sides at once. Taking two opposite sides at once, that is called a dialectical approach. In Sanskrit we call it Yoga Mimamsa. So a yogic way of looking and an ordinary way of looking. Most of us, we approach the problems of life from our own standpoint, and we put the blame always on the other man's head. But a person who is contemplative, she wants to listen to both sides. We hear of people like David, Solomon. Why they were considered great and just? Because they always wanted to know both sides. It was not a linear approach that they made. When Krishna brought Arjuna to the battlefield, and as he asked also to the middle, he wanted to test the yogic vision of Arjuna. So even after bringing, he turned the horses towards the enemy, the Kauravas, and asked him to look at them. Yavadetan nirikshekam yotukamanavasidan kairmaya sahayodhavyamasmin tanasamundyame yosyamananavaksheham yayadetra samagadaha partharashtasya durbuddhe yuddhe priyajikirshavaam. Evamukto krishikesho gudakeshena bharata senayorupayor madhye savayitva rathottamam bhishmadrona pramukadaha sarvesham jamahikshidam vaja partha pashyapasaidan samavedan kurunidhi. First, Arjuna also was very much resolved to fight his enemies. So when he asked the chariot to be put in the middle, he said, let me see those evil-minded people who have come to fight. And when Krishna placed the chariot in the middle, he said, look at Bhishma and Drona and such people who have come to fight with you. Look at them. So that very word, suddenly hearing the word Bhishma and Drona, that created a great stir in him. So we have a kind of planism in our mind, in our blood, thinking in terms of the tribe, the clan, the race, the group, the party, like that. And only very rarely a person is so liberated from this that you can look at humanity as one, the world as one, the sinner and the saint as one. And that kind of an equanimity of vision only rarely comes. Here, a special reference was made to the patriarch or the family, and also the person who takes pains to teach him, his own private tutor, so to say, his instructor. Until then, he was thinking with his head. See, at the vegetative level, a plant requires water and food. We also need. There is no difference between you and I and the plant for this vegetative need. But when you go a little above mere vegetation, birds and animals, they have a choice of food. And when you come to man, he is very selective. And he gives an ethical purport to his eating and drinking. That means from the general need, you come to a level of wish. And from the level of wish, when you have a universe of desires to choose, you make a choice, and then you raise that to be willed. So there is a want, desire, wish, will, act. So before it becomes an act, it has to pass through many steps. And when it is act, you come to action. Up to that you are thinking with your mind. But when you come to the actual situation, we say there is a slip between the cup and the lip. All your calculations can go wrong as soon as you come to the actual field. Till then, you are only intellectually seeing the situation. The actual situation is different from what we rationally, intellectually picture it. When you get into it, you are emotionally stirred. And what is that emotion? In Indian yoga, we speak of a series of synergic centers, beginning from the lower tip of the spine, called the Mooladhara or basic foundation. Then the next one at the genital, the base of the genital, called Swadhisthana. Then at the navel, called Manipura. At the heart, Anahata. At the throat, Vishuddhi. And between the eyebrows, Ajna. We are conscious only of what is happening here, what is happening in the throat, and what is happening in the heart. And about what is happening in the heart, all that we know is that you are disturbed, you are agitated. Suddenly your breath changes. Big gasp comes. That is a school of psychotherapy of primeval scream. It is based on this notion that a man's normalcy and abnormality can be measured by watching his breath. When you are agitated, your breath, the rate of the breath changes. And who changes it? And you want to breathe normally, but you cannot. And from where this rise comes? And you feel at the bottom level something is creeping up. Some persons at that stage suddenly want to pass urine. They want to go to the stool. They are disturbed. And this cannot be easily controlled from here. It takes some time. So Arjuna, on hearing the words of his great-grandfather and his teacher, he became emotionally stirred. Tatrāvaśyasthidān partha pidrūnadha vidāmahan ācāryan mādulan pādran putran pautran sakim tadha shuchiran suhrdaiccaiva senayorubhayoravi panavekshasya kaunteya sarva bandhūnavasthidān krudaya varyaviṣṭu Yishidannidamabravīr. She did not look on one side. She looked at both sides. And both sides, she did not see any enemy. She only saw friends. She only saw his fathers and brothers and cousins and uncles and relatives and friends. Where is my enemy? He came looking for an enemy, but now he does not see the enemy. His vision has changed. And when once the vision is changed, his motive cannot be the same. His original motive was to chastise the wrongdoer. But he is not seeing any wrongdoer now, but his blood relatives, his great friends, his benefactors. Then he says, Drishtve Swajana Krishna Yusam Samupastidam. I see here, seated, only my own people. Sidanti mama gatrani Mughancha varishushadi Vebudasya sharire me Romaharshasya jayade. She now behaves like one who cannot function. You can put that down. Maybe. This may look rather a little funny for you. Here Arjuna is like a patient, and Krishna has to take the position of a therapist. Yes, he cannot function. How to bring him back now to function? And he goes on describing his own state. He says, Sidanti mama gatrani Mukhancha parishushadi. I feel my body has become suddenly weakened. My energy has dissipated, has gone away from me. So you come with great preparation, and there is such a flush of energy, and that energy, now it is not there. Where is it gone? This question is taken up by Jung. He says, if you are feeling a big flash of energy and you are not feeling it, in a hysteric patient, when the patient becomes convulsive or patient becomes acting in a certain way, shrieking and shouting or moving, jumping, you try to hold, and that person seems to have thrice, 4 times more energy than other people, more strength than others. From where do they get that strength? And afterwards, when that is gone, they look so tired and they lie down there, and he is a weakling. Did that energy come from that same person? And if so, where was that energy sitting? And how there is a transposition of energy from one part of the body to another part of the body? This is a great secret which the psychologists are trying to understand. Mukhancha parishushadi. Suddenly the mouth becomes waterless, parched. Vebudasya sharire me, and the whole body tremors. There is a shivering sensation all over the body. Romaharshasya jayade. The hair is standing on its end. Kandivam samsade hastat. Since I cannot hold now my bow, it is slipping out of my hand. Gandivam sramsade hastat tokshaiva paridahyade. And all over my body, my skin is burning. Najashakno mavastadam pramadiva jame manaha. I cannot stand up. My heart is reeling. My mind has become giddy. Nimittani japashyami viparidani keshava najashreyo nupashyami hatva swajanamahave. And also I am seeing contradictory portents, and I do not know whether this is good for me. See, this theory of emotion, originally known in the West as James Lange theory of emotion, William James and Lange, they together developed a theory which says you are trembling not because you are afraid. You are afraid because you are trembling. You are crying not because you are sad. You are sad because you are crying. The physiological symptoms are put first, and then a follow-up of your consciousness, of your mind. So there are so many reflex functions in you which are happening first. And only after that you start catching up with what is happening physiologically in you. And afterwards there came the Cannon-Barth theory, which questioned it. But again, when the Langley theory came, the old James Lange theory was at least partly restored. And then came the limbic system, the theory of how certain connections are happening within the brain itself, which is not immediately known to us, that cause such kind of a great change in us, which accounts for our immediate emotional flurry, and afterwards slowly become conscious of it. These things probably were not known in those days to the rishis, as the modern physiologists and neurologists and others explain it, but they knew somehow that the whole thing begins from a physiological basis, and then slowly the mind starts getting a grip over it. So first he could not control himself at all, and then when he came to the mind, he started rationalizing. He got a handle over his own mind. Then he says, Nakam Che Vijayam Krishna Najarajyam Sukhani Cha Kim no Rajyena Govinda Kim Bhogai Jividena Va. Oh Krishna, doesn't matter if I cannot fight, because I don't want victory. Only if I want victory I should fight. Why should I fight? I don't want victory. I don't also want any special happiness from this. Kim no rajyena govinda. What do we do with gaining a country? Kim bhogai jividena va. What is the use of pleasures of life? Even with life itself on this earth. Yesham arthe kamchidam no rajyam bhoga sukhani cha sai me avasthida yutthe pranam tektva dhanani cha. So when he goes on saying all these things, Krishna does not interrupt him. So, all right, you say whatever you want to say. When a disciple goes to a teacher and goes on complaining, the teacher does not say stop. Just like a psychologist, a psychotherapist is listening patiently, the teacher also listens. And this we can also see in the case of God. At least everybody knows that God does not interrupt. You go on wallowing, God does not come and say stop. You can go on saying He listens. And you do not know at what stage God starts tackling you. Similarly here, of course it is God, but God does not want to say anything. Say, oh, go ahead. Taime avastida yuddhe pranam tektva dhanani cha acharyaha vidaraha putraha tadhaiva jabidamaha madulaha shushiraha pautraha syala sambandhinastadha. I am seeing here most dear people who are fathers, teachers, sons, grandfathers and uncles, relatives of wives, brother-in-laws, other relatives, and they are all here with a resolve to die. It's a pity that they do not see the purpose of life. And then he says, Yedannaham dvamichami nado vimadusudana avitrai lokya rajyasya edo kinnu mahidrude. O Lord Krishna, even if I am killed, and even for the 3 words, I don't want to kill these people. Now he is not in any state of confusion. He came to a negative resolve. The person who, for no reason, took the initiative and blew the conch, and thus accepted the war cry, he changed in a few minutes, and he says, I don't want to kill. Nihatyartharashtrana ka pridi sajjanardana pabamevashrayedasman hatvaidadadainaha. Some of these people I know, their intention is bad, they are murderous people, but I do not know what pleasure, what joy we will get by killing even such marauders. Tasmanarha vayam handum thartharashran svabandhavan swajanam hi kadham hatva sukhinaha syama madhava. So, we are not worthy of killing our own relatives. And after killing them, how can we live happily? Thus he established his case. He presented it very well. And now it looks that all other people were in the wrong and Arjuna was the only right person. Yadyapede na pashyandi lobho abhada chedasa kulakshaya kridam dosham mitra drohe japadagam kadham snajneyam asmabhihi padadasman nivartidam kulakshaya kridam dosham pravashat virjanardana. So he becomes full of self-pity now and self-criticism. So we are here moved by greed. And with that greed, we are now going to bring destruction to our family. And as our mind, we are blinded with such kind of a greed. We do not see the great destruction we are bringing upon us. And now she comes to this idea of sin. This is a great sin. One of the major problems anywhere of man is the sense of guilt, the sense of sin. And when once you are assailed by that, all other problems become less. And if you cannot redeem yourself from sin, then everything which you gain here is of no purpose. And Jesus says, if you fatten your body or nourish your body and you lose your soul, what is the use of that? And if any of your members is offending you, cut it and cast it into the fire. So if something is prompting you to do sin, then you should turn away from it. And here he sees that they are at the verge of committing a great sin, a fratricide, a homicide, and it's a great sin. Should we not see this? So she is seeing a great problem, the problem of sin. And these are to be kept in our mind, because afterwards the master who is listening to all this, she will take it up one by one. So if there is a problem of sin, afterwards she will consider and say, what sin is? How does it come? How can you remove it? Then she says, Kulakshaye pranashandi kuladharmaha sanadanaha dharme nashte kulang krishna adharmo bhavatyada. The right one. Okay. Now she is speaking of the dharma of a family. In India, there is a deep-rooted belief in the fourfold division of people: the Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. That is the Brahminic class, the warrior class, the tradesman's class, and the servant class. And also there is belief in caste system, and it is all kind of a watertight compartment, and people think that any kind of a mixing of this could be very dangerous to the tradition. Is that true or not? Krishna does not say one word now. They say, okay, you ask, afterwards I shall take all these questions one by one and answer. Adharma abhibhavat Krishna pradishyandi kulasriya trishu dushtasu asneya jayade varna sankaraha. So we have here differently looking members of the same species. They are all dogs, but one looks so different from the other. Now it's a matter of one's choice. Do you want a pure breed, or you don't mind to have crossbreed? How about white and black intermarrying? Now somebody said, no. We should keep our blood always pure. And it can be taken to that extent of purity which Hitler thought of. Say the Aryan blood, the blue blood which should not be mixed. And even it means killing out people. So big problems are in this world. All in the name of this mixing of the genes. And when you look at how different they look, it is hard to make up your mind whether you want all to be recognized as the same species or not. Those who opt for one humanity, they had to grab something in their mind. All the racial prejudices, color prejudices, caste prejudices, culture prejudices, prejudices of tradition, to think of one humanity. But it's not something which we can immediately take to, because the very look itself is very challenging. Once I told a black man of the problem of caste in India, how a majority of people there in India are considered to be belonging to a low social strata, and thus they are suffering from caste prejudices. When I said this to this black gentleman, he became furious. And he was shaking with anger. He said, "Sir, your caste is not written on your forehead, but my caste is written on my face. By seeing my stringy hair, my lips, my nose, they already know who I am, and thus it is stamped on me. And for you, the problem is not like that." Something which is so obvious, and people react to it immediately, and all your philosophy cannot change a person's emotional attitude when it comes to a matter of accepting another person. So this is a very basic thing, and Arjuna is referring to it. He said, if I allow all these worthy men here to die and leave women behind, there may be such kind of a mixing, because women cannot live without men. And if you kill out a species or a race of people, other races will mix. And then what will happen with the progeny? It is a problem which is social, cultural, traditional, spiritual, moral, and how we answer that. And Krishna says, right, one by one I shall answer all your questions. You go on now asking this question. Sankaro naragayaiva kulatmanam kulasyaja padandi vidaro hesham lupta pundodagat kriyaha. Now he is bringing one more problem. He brought the problem of sin. He brought the problem of the racial differences. And now he is bringing the problem of hell. Will I be punished and sent to hell? All religions speak of a heaven and a hell. And if the bad guy has to go to hell, should we now prepare our way to hell? And here also Krishna does not answer him. He says, right, I shall discuss this afterwards. So if you go on enumerating all the questions which Arjuna put, he puts 38 questions like this. And every single question was answered by Krishna afterwards. Doshairede kulatmanam varna sankarakarakaihi uljadyante jadi dharmaha kula dharmascha shashvataha. So by this kind of mixing, the stable system of the present day society of classes and castes will all be doomed. And she did not know whether it was good. Ulsanna kula dharmanam manushyanam janardana narake niyadam vasu bhavati tanushrama. He says, I have heard like this, that when we destroy the tradition, we will certainly be thrown into the hell. And is there any way that we can save all these people who are doomed to go to the hell to be saved? So he is not asking anything about for himself. He is concerned with the society and the social needs. And if Sri Krishna is a real philosopher, a guide, the answer that Arjuna seeks from him is not any personal gain, but a redemption of people from their sins, save people from hellfire, and establish a tradition if it is worthwhile. And if the present tradition and the systems are wrong, how they can be corrected and they can be modified. Then she becomes overwhelmed by the magnitude of the terrible deed. Aho gada mahatpabam kartum vyavasidavayam yadrahajya sughalobhena hantam svajanamudyadaha. So, my God, what a terrible sin we are going to do, all because of our greed for a little land, and we want to kill our own brothers. So even today we can take this at a bigger scale. The world is now divided into 2 or 3 or many, and all seeking only the gain of what they think is the right kind of government or the right kind of country or the right kind of society. And they are stockpiling nuclear arms, the best kinds of destruction. We do not know finally who will survive, if anyone will survive. And thus we are all coming to the brink of a great disaster. So the present day Arjuna also puts the same question. Is there any way out from such a suicidal warfare? Yadi mama pradigaram ashastram shastrapanaya thatarashtarane hanyustanme kshemadaram bhavet. Then he speaks like the Lord Buddha or Jesus Christ. These are the 2 examples we have in our cultural history, in our spiritual tradition. These 2 great masters. Lord Buddha said, hatred cannot be appeased by hatred. Only by love, hatred can be appeased. And Jesus said, if somebody smites you on the right cheek, show him the other also. If you take the sword, by the sword you will perish. And those who sow seeds of violence, they will reap the whirlwind of violence. And here, Arjuna says the same word. So should we not adore him here as someone who is great like Lord Buddha, like Lord Jesus Christ? Krishna accepts it. Krishna says, afterwards in the next chapter he says, you are speaking like a wise person. He does not say that Arjuna is not speaking as a wise person. Prajna vadam cha bhashase. You are speaking like a wise person. but you have misplaced your role, and only that is to be examined. And in the next chapter we will be coming to that, and all the questions which are put in the present chapter, it will be taken in subsequent chapters. The first chapter is to be treated almost like a question paper, and the answers are coming in the next 17 chapters. And without knowing the first chapter, we cannot make an entry into the subsequent 17 chapters. Evamuktvārjuna saṅkhe radhobhasta upavisat vishrajya sasaram chavam choda samvistamanasa. With this verse, when he was so much disturbed by his sadness, his sorrow, he threw away his bow and arrow and sat in the chariot in a state of depression and with a resolution not to fight. This complete inaction marks the first chapter, and how that person is recovered from his negativity, from the blows, and was made a highly realized person and brought to a very positive stand in the 18th chapter. That is what we are going to see as chapters are unfolded one after another. That's what it is.